Sometimes, trying to impress new friends can make us forget our true ones. Join us for the Goatherd and the Wild Goats, and discover the surprising lesson a goatherd learns about being truly kind. A fierce storm raged, lashing rain against the ancient hills. The wind howled a lonely tune, making the trees dance wildly. A kind goatherd, whose name was Barnaby, hurried his small flock of fluffy white domestic goats towards a familiar cave for shelter. The domestic goats, usually playful, huddled close, shivering from the cold wind and rain. Barnaby, a sturdy man with a warm heart, worried about keeping them safe and warm. As they cautiously stepped inside the cool, damp cave, Barnaby noticed they weren't alone. Deeper within, a small group of wild goats had already sought refuge from the tempest. These magnificent creatures had shaggy brown coats and impressive, sweeping horns, looking much stronger than his tame ones. Barnaby's eyes sparkled with a cunning idea. He dreamt of making these wild, free spirits part of his own flock. He imagined how grand his flock would be with such fine additions. Barnaby, usually a fair man, decided to change his ways for a greedy goal. He pulled out a large bag of the freshest, sweetest grass he had saved for a special occasion. With a wide, welcoming smile, he offered the lush green bundles to the wild goats. He watched as they cautiously approached, their keen eyes fixed on the delicious food. His heart thumped with excitement, believing his plan was working perfectly. The wild goats, hungry from their journey through the storm, couldn't resist the tempting offer. They munched happily on the sweet grass, appreciating Barnaby's apparent kindness. Meanwhile, his own loyal domestic goats stood by, watching with rumbling tummies. Barnaby gave them only a few dry, old scraps, just enough to stop them from complaining loudly. He avoided their sad, questioning eyes, focusing only on winning over the wild ones. For several days, as the storm outside slowly calmed, this unfair treatment continued. The wild goats feasted on the best provisions, growing stronger and more comfortable in their temporary home. Barnaby's domestic goats, however, became thinner and quieter, their once cheerful bleats turning into soft, sad sighs. They missed the tasty greens and the loving pats from their goatherd. Barnaby felt a pang of guilt sometimes, but his desire for an even bigger, more impressive flock pushed it away. Slowly but surely, the fierce storm outside began to lose its power. The rain lessened to a gentle drizzle, and soon, bright patches of blue sky peeked through the gray clouds. A fresh, clean scent filled the air, promising a new day. Barnaby eagerly checked the cave entrance, his heart lifting at the sight of the clearing weather. He knew it was almost time to return to the sunny pastures. Finally, the sun shone brightly, casting warm rays into the cave. Barnaby, beaming, led his mixed flock out into the green, damp meadows. The domestic goats, though a bit weak, trotted out eagerly, tails wagging slightly. But the wild goats, with a shared glance of understanding, did something unexpected. With a sudden burst of energy, they bounded gracefully towards the distant, sun-drenched hills. Barnaby stared after them, his smile fading into a frown. "Is that the thanks I get?" he cried out, his voice echoing across the quiet meadow. "I fed you the best grass, nurtured you through the storm, and treated you so well." He stomped his foot in frustration, feeling a wave of anger and disbelief wash over him. His domestic goats looked up at him, their heads cocked to one side, wondering why he was upset. One of the leading wild goats, a wise old male with magnificent horns, paused at the top of a hill. He turned his head and called back to Barnaby, his voice clear and firm. "Do not expect us to join your flock, goatherd," he declared, his golden eyes filled with knowing. "We saw how you treated your own loyal goats when strangers arrived, and we learned a valuable lesson from your actions." The wise wild goat continued, his voice carrying in the fresh air. We know how you would treat us later on, if some other stranger should come as we once did. Your kindness was not true kindness, but a sneaky way to trick us." With a final, knowing nod, the wild goats vanished over the hill, leaving Barnaby alone with his thoughts. He watched them go, a powerful realization dawning slowly in his mind. And so, the goatherd learned a very important lesson that day, one that stayed with him always. True kindness is treating everyone fairly, especially those who are already loyal to you. If you are unkind to your old friends to impress new ones, you will lose the trust of both. Always remember, integrity and fairness are the best qualities a person can have, bringing lasting happiness and respect.
Ever dreamed of being the hero? Now you get to be the star. Your adventure starts at TalesMio. Visit talesmio.com now.